I'm Chris Williams from Cyclone Fanatic, and a proud Iowa State graduate from the class of 2007. No one shows up like Iowa State fans. And Cyclones support Cyclones on and off the field. Your gift can provide scholarships to students, fund groundbreaking research. We could even drum up opportunities for the marching band. Visit MoveWhatMatters.com to learn how you can make an impact today.
My name is Joseph Hurst. I live in Ankeny, Iowa, and I'm a part of the PMBA program. I currently work as the Director of Sales at Stony Creek Hotels in Johnston, Iowa, and I chose the Iowa State MBA program because it just made perfect sense. About 2 years ago, I started this wonderful program, and I couldn't imagine not having done it. What has helped the most balance work, life, school, has been the people I'm in class with. It's great to go through questions, problems, study for tests, and it just makes the whole class so much easier. As a working professional thinking about doing an MBA program, I get night classes aren't everybody's dream. I get after a long day of work, you may not want to go do more, but it's worth it. You're going to learn a lot, not just from the professors in the program, but from the other students. They come from all walks of life. They are from different age groups. They're from different companies. They're from all kinds of different backgrounds. They've got all kinds of different stories. And after 2 years, I've made some of the best friends I've ever made, learned the most I've ever learned, and I can't imagine what we're going to do after we're done.
Chris Williams, Brent Blum, from the Wild Rose Casino Studio. It's Williams and Blum, presented by Mechdyne, on the Cyclone Fanatic Podcast Network.
What is up, Selection Sunday? Women just got picked. Women are going to be in the first four. Which, Providence? Is that who it is?
Notre Dame. They're going to play in Notre Dame's area.
They play at Notre Dame. Aren't they playing
Princeton.
Providence? Princeton. Same thing.
Which we
Could be worse.
Thought the first four was a possibility. At first blush, we'll definitely have a size advantage on Princeton. We lost you. We lost you already. We lost. Look, we just, technical difficulties. Drinking from a fire hose. We'll get Chris's microphone all set up here. It's a little technical cleanup. Iowa State men get the 3 seed. Just announced they will play 12:30 on Friday. 12:30 on Friday in Milwaukee against Lipscomb, the Bison. And then the 6th seed in that area is Ole Miss. So Iowa State men will play Friday, 12:30. I believe the women's seed up will probably play on Wednesday or Thursday.
You got me now?
I got you.
Okay, sorry.
How was that professional field job right there?
Well, that's why it's nice having you. You don't freak out when that happens. I've done this with other, and they're not hosts. Yeah, no, it's good. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that. Welcome to the program. We are presented as always by Mechdyne. Okay, a lot to get to tonight. Want to set the table. We have I believe they just got done with it. Let Them Cook is doing a big NCAA tournament preview for us. That will be on the website, wherever you get your podcasts, YouTube, all that good stuff. First thing in the morning. Of course, you got this bad boy. I will head to Milwaukee bright and early on Wednesday, maybe even earlier depending on weather. We'll just kind of wait and see what happens there. So much to hammer out. Also, Rob Gray and Connor Ferguson will have a women's tournament preview that will be, I think, recorded tomorrow because Connor's probably going to have to hit the road depending on when they're going to play. So, with that...
What a whirlwind couple of hours.
Yeah, good time to just dive right into Keshon Gilbert situation.
I had no idea until I heard that from TJ. I don't think you did either.
I had no idea either. I have done some reporting for our premium subscribers since it happened on how it all went down. But from what I understand, decision was made right before the selection show. Maybe it was made earlier and it was delivered then, but good job out of Iowa State to not let it get out because it could have affected your seeding potentially.
100% would have.
So Iowa State gets a better draw because of it. But yeah, this was totally surprising. Connor sent me the video from the Otzelberger thing because I'm here doing all of our reaction stuff. And let me run down quickly because we haven't spoken since before the Big 12 tournament. When I got there on what would have been Tuesday, Keshon was in a great mood. Ott said he had been practicing, and he had been. Like they're not lying to us here. Keshon comes out and can only go a half, doesn't start. Really didn't seem with it. Just all over the place. I think it feels like they were trying to make it work last week and it didn't, and this thing had almost become I don't know if the word distraction is appropriate, but I think what the head coach is saying here, and we'll watch some of this video that Aiden has pulled together for us, but this is like, hey, we're gonna lay it down right now. This is who we're going with. We're not going to be doing this Willie won't he play thing, and they feel like this gives them the best chance to win, and that's all that matters this time of year. Otherwise, you don't make this decision.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's it. I mean, I was surprised like anybody else. I mean, I was pumped up for the draw, honestly, because I think
great draw.
I think for where Iowa State was at after the tournament, you could not have asked for much better. You know, you get a 14 seed Lipscomb, who was clearly very good. They won their conference. I would say very typical mid-major, play slow, shoot a lot of threes, older, not huge though. So you really think Iowa State can speed them up and try to make them uncomfortable. 2 games this year for Lipscomb against power opponents, and it was losing by 30 at Kentucky, losing by 15 at Arkansas. That's it. They only played 2 Power 5 opponents. They haven't played a Power 5 opponent since early December. And so you would think Iowa State, with its physicality, should have an advantage. But, again, these guys shoot it. I mean, the big guy, so the guy who leads them in scoring, I'm going to butcher that name. So it's Olenichik. Anyway, 6'8", 220, shoots it well. But they got 4 guys who have made 50 or more threes. They're going to spread Iowa State out. And honestly, if you're Iowa State, you got to guard the 3 better than you did against BYU. Now, I think what BYU did a really good job of is they handled Iowa State's pressure and, got out of those double teams, and they didn't turn it over. But the question I have now, and this coincides with the Keshon thing, you are a different team without him defensively. And we're going to get into this. I think, and the numbers reflect this, I think Iowa State, with an injured Keshon over the past 2 months, he has been an average at best offensive basketball player. Agreed. I say so. Let me just back up. Keshon Gilbert, based on the raw analytics, was the 3rd ranked player in the country around Christmas time. I mean, his non-conference was brilliant. How he played in Maui. I mean, look at it. Look at the Ken Pom Player of the Year rankings. It was Broom, Flag, Gilbert. Mm-hmm. He got hurt right around the Colorado game, and it wasn't the same since. I ran the numbers on Torvik in conference games only. He had the 2nd worst offensive rating on Iowa State. The only one worse was Noyes, who didn't really play in conference play.
Yeah, that doesn't even count.
And again, he's a high usage, high turnover guy, and he wasn't as efficient at the basket. But that is to say, I think a lot of Iowa State fans remember Maui and remember the tournament last year and remember him being the Big 12 Player of the Year in the tournament a year ago. He just hasn't quite been that. And I think that's the root of all of this. It's a guy who's injured, he's frustrated, and you can read into the drama if there is, the rap lyrics and all those things. Regardless, clearly Iowa State made a decision that they are better off to just rip the Band-Aid off, not the will he, won't he play thing, and just move forward for what you have. And I think defensively, yeah, it's an adjustment, and I have some concerns. Offensively, though, this is interesting to me, C-Dub. Iowa State, since Maui, It's 2 of its 4 best offensive rating games were against BYU and Cincinnati in the Big 12 tournament. 2 of the 4 best since November. So clearly,
that's an incredible stat.
Clearly, offense was better the last 2 games. Now, is that a shot at Keshon? I don't know. Clearly, Heisey's playing good. Momcilovic was awesome against BYU. But you also look at it, and Iowa State gave up 96 to BYU, which was by far their worst defensive rating performance. And so that gives you some pause on that end. But long story short, I think it was rip the Band-Aid off is probably the wrong term, but the uncertainty ends up being maybe more of an issue than the production on the floor would have been. I think that's the calculation.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean,
if he's not healthy, and he's gonna, it's just like,
well,
you can only deal with so much here, right? Like, and it's not just him, right? Because everyone says, "Oh, look how good he is on the high end." I agree. Iowa State's ceiling is lower today than it was yesterday. Don't get me wrong.
The defense thing is
huge.
massive.
It's huge, and that's Iowa State's identity. Like, you're going to miss him. Iowa State is not the same defensively, not even close. I mean, Keshon Gilbert is a legit top 10 when healthy on the ball defender. He hasn't been healthy though for one, so let's keep that in mind. And then I just think, we'll see how Iowa State adjusts to it. I think for the rest of the guys, it gives them some role certainty of knowing every day they are going to do this and they're going to have this role. That it's just like we talked about. It's the old Ewing theory from Bill Simmons back in the day. When somebody's gone and you know they're gone, you will step up because you know you're going to get the minutes. You're not looking over your shoulder of, oh, will that guy come back in next game? And I think this is the staff and Iowa State's way of saying, okay, if you're not healthy, like, we can't have this are you in or are you out thing health-wise.
We saw him do it with Grill.
Similar.
Like, I think that was a little more dramatic than this Keshon thing is.
Clearly, Keshon was in the room tonight.
Yeah,
he was in the room.
Exactly.
So if
it's
he
not
was
like
like
he's just some.
Yeah, I think everybody wants to find the worst possible situation here. I don't blame anybody. And then Keshon had the tweet that Aiden just put up there of basically saying, "I'm hurt. I'm still not healthy. I want to get right." Let's read it for you. Love and appreciate all of your support. I want you all to know that there is nothing more to this situation. I'm battling an injury that just can't seem to get better while playing on it. But enough about me. We're a 3 seed in Milwaukee. I know the guys are going to make you all proud. It's super classy. Again, I'm a Keshon fan. I think the world of the guy. I wish he was healthy. I'm super bummed for him. I'm super bummed for the team. But at the end of the day, this is a team that still has high aspirations, and you can't have the uncertainty hanging over you every single game. Chris, you were in the locker room. What was the number one question after every game in the Big 12? It was that. Like, at some point, you just got to go, all right, guys, this is who we got. We've been really good with him offensively. Now, let's turn it up and let's make one big run here.
Well, the role thing is the biggest thing to me.
I agree.
It's like in the turnovers and live ball turnovers have plagued this team throughout the second half of the season. And I think it's because of the lineup constantly turning over.
The lack of flow.
I mean, there's other reasons. They're playing more, they're playing faster, so there's more possessions and, all that stuff. But Josh Jefferson corrected me, and he doesn't correct anyone, so that I thought it was funny in the locker room after they lost to BYU. And I asked him something similar. I don't remember specifically exactly what it was, but he goes, well, I think our rhythm's pretty good. We scored 92 points today. Which it's like, oh yeah, that's a decent point, Joshua. I'm bummed out. Like this is what a turn of events, because I was like you, I was obsessed with the draw. I was like giddy because
Same.
It goes the committee clearly. My birdie kept telling me this, like, it's going to depend on how much sympathy they give Iowa State for the injuries. Well, they clearly looked at Iowa State's 2-loss record when healthy.
Yes.
When they gave them Milwaukee over Wisconsin. Right? Like, there's no other way to put it. They said, you guys are 20-2, or whatever the record is when you're healthy, and we are putting stock in that over everything else.
Quite honestly, Iowa State of the 2 seeds got the most favorable matchup. They couldn't play Tech most likely, otherwise maybe that one. But I would rather play Michigan State than Tennessee or Alabama with the current, especially now without Gilbert.
Well, and you get Duke with their injury stuff now as well. Like we're looking way down the road there. Yeah. But I just like the whole draw. I was thinking like you could not have asked for anything more with what you did because I don't know. With the way Iowa State has played the last month and a half, I don't know if they even deserve like the draw that they got. But I'll take it. That's why I was so happy.
Well, and just to correct, it is Auburn as the one there, not
Oh,
Duke.
I'm sorry. Yeah. I thought it was Duke in my mind. Yeah, you're right, because it's in Atlanta. I apologize. Got a lot happening.
There's a lot going on.
We got data. We got brackets.
There we go.
We got injuries.
Yeah, I mean the South region is really strong on paper. Again, it's Auburn will clearly be the favorite, and they're playing great. I mean, I think Creighton and Louisville is an interesting second-round game for them. You're right, though.
Dude, that's a brutal draw. I said that on my quick little reaction. Like to get Louisville or Creighton in the second round, that sucks for Auburn. I would rather
honestly
have Iowa State's draw.
So if you go to the other side there and see Iowa State on its end. So real quick on Lipscomb, have played them once. No fun fact. You ever want a fun fact?
Was this the Jordan Bergeson game?
Yes. Played him once in 2011.
Jordan Bergeson had like 40 in that game.
Yep. He hit 30, hit 9 threes, which is still an opponent record in Hilton Coliseum.
Is it really?
Jordan is back in Ames, I believe. Yeah, he was an Ames High grad. Ames High. Iowa State won by 20 back in 2011. Led in scoring by Scotty Christopherson. And then Chris Allen chipped in a 20-piece as well. That was the Royce White team.
Man.
But so there, I think, again, that's anybody that makes a tournament has a chance here. And Lipscomb's been playing great. They won their tournament. But Ole Miss has been trending the wrong way, by the way. I mean, I think they've lost 5 of 12 or 5 of 7. Yeah, five of their last 12. Yeah.
So I said I would rather have Iowa State's draw than Auburn's in the first weekend.
I don't know if I want a piece of Louisville or Creighton, how well they're playing. I mean, that's the thing, is you're going to play a good team in that second round anyway.
Okay, we'll get to I have all the I'm sure you've done this too, the updated odds and all that good stuff. I do want to. So this is our Sunday show. This isn't considered one of our postseason shows, but we want to thank all of our great sponsors because Cyclone Fanatic wouldn't be what it is. We are live tonight too, Bloom. I don't know if you noticed this. There's like over 4,000 people watching this.
Hey everybody,
live right now. So hello. Hope you guys are great. We are
always dramatic being a Cyclone, right?
Travis Hines texted me that too. He's like, man, something. We just, anyways, going to Milwaukee. We are presented as always by Mechdyne, our friends at the Mechdyne Corporation. Shout out to our friend Colin Newell, Farm Bureau Financial Services. He insures Bloom and I, all of our good stuff. Former Iowa State Cyclone, of course. That's Colin with 1 L, Newell 2 L's in that one. Also presented by our friends at Kelderman Manufacturing, kelderman.com. Go and check out their YouTube page. They're really pushing that right now. Custom trucks, suspensions, all that badass stuff. They do a lot of great work down there in Oskaloosa. Okay, so Lipsy's back, according to TJ Otzelberger, which that doesn't surprise me. My only thing is we still don't really know how serious the injury is.
Yeah.
So I don't know. My vibe is that he's probably not going to be 100%, but I don't know like how much it matters with Taman. Like that sounds stupid. Of course it matters if he's 50% compared to 100. But that guy, like, he's literally going to have to be missing a leg to not play at this game on Friday. If you are watching, if you haven't heard, it is a 12:30 afternoon tip.
In Milwaukee. First game of the day in Milwaukee, Friday.
Yeah, Kevin Harlan on the call, and that will be on TNT. So we do have the tip time for that one. So what do you think, I guess, on Lipsy? Because
yeah, I mean,
I thought it was weird that they – I wonder, do you think it was a Jaden Higgins going through warm-ups at the Pop-Tart Bowl where you knew he wasn't going to play? or do you think that they really were letting him? Because to me, they absolutely made the right call in Kansas City. To sit him out. There's no doubt in my mind that is the right thing to do.
I think it was an educated, easy decision there. I think Taman could have played, but what was the upside? To steal the old the Brian Ferentz line. What's the upside here? Is you win with him and he re-aggravates the thing, and you got to play Houston the next day with another day of less rest. I mean, this honestly shaped up okay. Iowa State's seed didn't really change at all, even if you would have beat Houston. I don't think there's any way they would have got to a 2. You get an extra day of rest for Taman. You get a lot of confidence, by the way, for Heisey and Momcilovic, which is great, and you're going to need both of those guys. I thought Jefferson played well, and now you don't play till Friday either. So, yes, it's always a question with Taman. He's played through a lot. You always worry about muscle injuries because they can be re-aggravated pretty quickly. But, I trust him that they're going to need him to play. I mean, that's the other part. Like, what the takeaway for me was Iowa State needs Lipsy and they won't have Gilbert clearly defensively more than anything because they're just limited. They're Curtis is a nice on-ball defender. Nate's a nice on-ball defender, but the pressure is not the same, and they let BYU get way too comfortable. And quite candidly, if Taman's not ready or he's playing at 60%, and you can't pressure Limpscomb to make them uncomfortable, they're going to get easy looks too. And I think that's so yeah, he better be healthy. I mean, that's when I thought Iowa State, C-Dub, played the best 10 minutes it had all season from the 15-minute mark of the second half of the Cincinnati game to the 5-minute mark. I thought Iowa State was lights out good. And keep in mind, Keshon didn't play in that stretch.
Yeah, Keshon wasn't out there for that.
But Taman was awesome. I thought Nate was giving you a bunch. I thought Milan really took it up an extra step. And then Taman got hurt, and it's just like the world kind of came crashing down a little bit. Like, okay, more than anything, get Taman healthy. We'll worry about Keshon secondarily. And, yeah, Taman needs to be able to play. Iowa State is not going to make a deep run if that guy's not productive. And so I'll trust him to take care of his body, get ready to go. And, of my concerns, C-Dub, I mean this respectfully to everybody, Taman's injury situation is more concerning to me than not having Gilbert at this point. It just is. Iowa State needs that guy to be healthy for so many different reasons. Iowa State has proven statistically they can be okay without Gilbert playing as he has been the past 2 months. They cannot be okay with the deep run without both of them.
Why do I feel I'm kind of just bummed out right now.
Well, it's the high of a great and then immediately, but
I'm just bummed.
I think you got to ask yourself as a fan: would you want to know now, or would you want to know on Friday morning? Right?
I would rather know now.
Yeah, and if you're a player, would you rather know now, or would you rather know Friday morning?
I also saw some folks on our premium board who were saying, why didn't he wait? And I actually really respect just doing it the way TJ did it because this would have gotten out.
Yeah, if he wasn't going to play, was going to. Keshon would have been asked about it Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
If you would have made the decision today, we're shutting him down, it would have gotten out. So, he would have tweeted something, or somebody would have talked, or whatever. But it doesn't matter. You did this for your own team's psyche.
Correct.
That was why you did this.
It has nothing to do with the fans. It's for the guys in that locker room. This
was for their mental capacity to prepare for 2 games in Milwaukee. That was why you made this decision.
Honestly,
nothing else matters at this point. That was why the decision was made.
PR-wise, if it was all about PR and keeping everybody calm, you don't say anything. Keshon travels, and he's the one who has to deal with is he playing or isn't he playing. But you're right. For the team, that's not the best scenario, especially if you know that he's not going to be a productive player with his current health status. So rip the Band-Aid off, give the guys the keys to the car, and say, go drive it. And then they don't have to be on pins and needles all week of, well, what can we say about it? What do we know? What do we don't know? All this stuff that's really hard when you're dealing with a stressful situation anyway. And so, honestly, I give TJ some credit here of just jumping on it and getting it out of the way. And this is not a good thing. You can. I'm not trying to
No, I know.
Make this. You're making the best of how do you get this current group of players for what you have to make the deepest run in March. And I think the play was to do that today. And it's a bummer for the fan base in the short term, but we would all forget about it if Iowa State's playing in Atlanta here in 10 days.
I would agree. Now I'll be optimistic, okay? Boo-hoo. That's done. Now I'll be optimistic. You cool with that?
I love it.
Our guys, the Presidents, had a hell of a 2 days in Kansas City.
And so did Milan.
Yeah, so, there is – you want to talk about the offensive efficiency and all that stuff? Man, when you've got the bigs that are playing the way that they did, if you go back, even when Iowa State was, closer to full strength, those games where they really sucked, it was when Jefferson was 2 of 11 and Jackson was playing 9 minutes because he was in foul trouble, right? A lot of it could be traced. And you look back when they were playing at their best, those guys were pretty good. So if I'm bullish for any reason going into the NCAA tournament, it's the Presidents.
Yeah, and Curtis just scored 22 points in 5 minutes.
Yeah, well, and you're right. And that guy seems to be back in some capacity.
This is where sometimes you can have there's only one ball. It's like the famous saying in basketball, right? There's one ball. And I think to Iowa State's detriment at times in conference play, Iowa State was waiting for Keshon Gilbert to be non-conference Keshon Gilbert and postseason from last year Keshon Gilbert when he wasn't. And so there's a lot of over-dribbling, a lot of deferring to him, which is understandable. The guy was a top 10 player in the country for a while, but he wasn't. Turnover rate went way up. It's almost direct one-to-one with his turnover numbers.
Milan, in the last 10 games, Gilbert was averaging 4.5 turnovers per game.
Momcilovic's shot attempts went way down.
Yeah.
And now you tell Milan and Curtis, and Jefferson, shoot whenever you want. Do whatever you want. And it gives them more freedom to just go play. And again, if you look at Iowa State's usage numbers, Keshon Gilbert had the highest usage rate on the team. Well, you remove that now. And again, I think Iowa State's offense was really, really good Cincinnati game and the BYU game. And that gives me confidence. Offense is going to be okay. I really believe that. Because what Jefferson is doing now as that kind of pseudo point forward, Royce White, everything playing through him, even as a point forward, it has opened everything else up. And, Keshon wasn't really a floor spacer anyway. I mean, I'm not trying to get into all the nitty-gritty here. But if you can get Heisey in one corner, Momcilovic in another corner, Jones on a wing, it's going to give those bigs a lot more room to operate. And that's what you saw with Momcilovic and Jefferson against BYU. You couldn't sag off Curtis Jones, so those guys had all the room in the world. With Gilbert, you can sag off him a little bit because he always wants to get to the rim. Again, just from the last 2 months, I'm not trying to say not having Keshon Gilbert is a good thing because it's not. But offensively, in my opinion, in the short term, Iowa State is better off offensively, efficiency-wise, from a turnover perspective, from an offensive motion perspective, and allowing the guys who are healthy to play. Defensively is another story, and we're going to get into that, and it could be the reason why maybe Iowa State doesn't make it to the Sweet 16. But I don't think you can look at Keshon Gilbert from a year ago and say that's what Iowa State's missing because it's different. It's been different for 2 months.
Currently, your updated odds for Iowa State, 4,500 to win the Natty, 500 to go to the Final Four, plus 160 to make the Sweet 16. So to get out of the first weekend a little bit over even odds.
Okay.
Get your analytics on Ole Miss ready. I want to thank a couple more great
I don't
sponsors.
think Iowa State's going to play Ole Miss, by the way. But anyway, continue.
Ooh. I like. Daddy likes. I want to thank our friends at Terraplex Ag. Of course, our buddy Andrew Chaplin. He's your real estate agent. Do not forget about him if you're going to buy, sell coming up this spring. Chappie, my man, over at Hunziker. That last name is spelled Chaplin. Of course, our friends at the Iowa State University Foundation, the Ivy College of Business. We saw their pre-roll ads before we got going here today. We have a great group of sponsors as well that are presenting all of our postseason coverage. My friends at Country Landscapes, I've hired them to do a bunch of work around my house. outdoor living. Bloom, you got to get Country to come over and build some stuff around that back patio of yours. You'd love it. They're going to do some great work for you.
You know anybody about? You think you can hook me up?
I know people. I know people.
It's spring season. Get
It
ready
is.
to go.
Central States Roofing, those guys are nuts. They love the Cyclone. They're absolutely crazy, those guys over at Central States Roofing, with their passion for the Cyclones. And we are getting to that rainy season. They do a lot of good commercial work here in Central Iowa. So if your business has a leak or anything like that, remember our friends over at Central States Roofing. All right. What do you think happens? And you're better. This is where I need to just let you cook, because you are way better on all these other teams than me. You watch more college basketball than I do. What do you think about the Ole Miss, San Diego State / North Carolina?
Yeah, I mean, I think North Carolina. This is weird to say, right? Follow me here. I think North Carolina will be favored in that game against San Diego State. I think San Diego State could beat them.
Well, I can tell you the line,
but they're not. They're not this. Yeah, can I get it? Can I get it?
North Carolina favored by 3.5.
Yeah, I mean, so I think, again, that's a toss-up. But I really think North Carolina against Ole Miss will be a pick-em. I really do. I think those teams are pretty similar. Where Mississippi's advantage here is they are uber athletic, C-Dub, but maybe most impressively, they have the third lowest turnover percentage in the country. They don't turn the ball over. They also don't shoot threes. It's a kind of a weird mix of they're attacking all the time. They foul a bunch. They're like last in the country in fouls per game. Quite candidly, North Carolina and Ole Miss both would have athleticism that could give Iowa State problems, but also both have taken weird stretches where they just don't play good basketball at all. So I think North Carolina and Ole Miss would be a toss-up. If it is Ole Miss, bunch of 6'6" to 6'9" guys. They take care of the ball, but again, they don't shoot it great. And so you're looking at a game where, I think Iowa State, skill-wise is better than them, but, it's going to be hard either way. Both those teams have athleticism. When you're dealing with a short bench, that could give Iowa State problems. But like we said earlier at the start of the show, anybody that makes it to that next round, it's not going to be a cakewalk. It just isn't.
No.
But I think... Yeah. Give me a team that can't shoot it great. Neither North Carolina or Ole Miss can shoot it very well.
There's a lot of data out there, too. I don't have it on me, about these first 4 teams that make runs.
Yeah, North Carolina's one of those teams where they might reel off 3 in a row and like, oh, yeah, well, because they got guys. Like, look at them. Like, RJ Davis is a dude. The point guard's a dude. They got size, but they just don't shoot great. And, if I'm picking against Iowa State, Iowa State is generally able to be physical enough with the super athletic teams. Where Iowa State struggles is clearly against BYU's of the world, who can make that trapping defense, look bad. And that's what BYU can do. That's
where I worry about this game.
Against Lipscomb.
Well, any chance Iowa State screws around with this defense a little bit?
I wonder, because it's the Jekyll and the Hyde,
It feels like
right?
that's what they do is a poor matchup to a team like Lipscomb.
Well, but
in my mind.
Potentially. However, if you do turn them over, then you win by 25. You know? Like, it's that Jekyll and the Hyde thing of, if you play them straight up like you have been playing everybody else and you turn them over, they have not seen the guys that Iowa State has. However, if they get comfortable and they start making a bunch of shots, they're wide open in the corner like BYU is, that's a problem. So I'll be interested to see how Iowa State looks to attack them. I think to start, you at least got to see if they can handle your stuff. Like, you got to get after them. Make them call a foul. But I do have concerns now without Gilbert of foul trouble, for one. That bit Iowa State honestly against BYU when Nate got fouled out. And then secondly, if they're able to move the ball and get comfortable on offense, these guys can make you pay. I mean, they're going to shoot a lot of threes, and you just hope they don't go in. I have less concerns about the defense from a rotation standpoint against either Ole Miss, North Carolina, or San Diego State. I mean, that's two different but this is the crazy thing about the tournament. It's two different ways to play the game of basketball, and you're going to have to be prepared for both. Good news for Taman and Iowa State. You do get that day off. This is not like the Big 12 tournament where you have to wait. And then Iowa State has the early game Friday, C-Dub.
It helps to get the Friday draw, too.
You got it. So you got the Friday draw, and then you'll get an extra probably 5 or 6 hours as the first game on Friday to get to Sunday afternoon.
Oh. Have you looked to see when the Notre Dame or the North Carolina game will be?
I assume it'll be Wednesday if they're playing on Friday.
No, I'm sorry. The game on Friday. So it would be the Ole Miss game. So that is
they'll play right after. They'll play
right after it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
So Iowa State would have the advantage from that. And then generally, those Sunday games are at, well, the first one's at 11, but then they go 11, 1:30, 3:30, then a bunch of them are at night, Sunday night.
Okay.
Again, you're going to play, you're in the NCAA tournament, right? You're going to play good teams. And styles make fights, all that stuff. I think Iowa State, honestly, they're the 14-point favorite over Lipscomb?
Yeah, 14.5.
I think that's actually exactly where it should be. Again, Lipscomb hasn't played a Power 5 team in 3 months. This is going to be hard for them. I think everyone looks at, oh my gosh, look at these. It's hard for those guys too. I mean, Iowa State was top 10 in defense still. They got a bunch of guys that can put the ball in the basket. Lipscomb's nervous as well, even if Iowa State doesn't have Gilbert. And then it's going to give Iowa State an opportunity to get another extra couple hours of rest and then be ready to go, because whether it's San Diego State, North Carolina, or Ole Miss, that's going to be physical. That's going to be a lot of fouls, and you better wear your hard hat for that one.
I'll venture to – I've watched enough Mountain West ball. I bet North Carolina wins that game.
It's not the same San Diego State team. They lost a bunch.
Yeah, in the Mountain West, they're not like the normal San Diego State.
It's not the
They're
Final
like
Four
a
team
normal
from 2
good
years
Mountain West team right now who generally does terrible in the NCAA tournament, would be my analysis on that.
I think North Carolina's honestly, I think North Carolina may win 2 there.
Okay. And then they lose to the Clones.
Lose to the Clones.
Clones going to the Sweet 16. Here's the deal. So for fans that are going to Milwaukee, I would venture to guess that this is going to be a pretty tough ticket, especially if you get North Carolina winning. Listen to the teams that are going to be in this regional. Okay.
Let's go.
Iowa State fans,
Mm-hmm.
potentially North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what Ole Miss will bring.
Not great for basketball.
Yeah. Kentucky.
Do you know their coaches, by the way? You know it.
Yeah, and we need to get to that. We'll Cyclone trivia.
Yeah. That's right.
Potentially Xavier.
Kentucky's there, aren't they? Yeah.
And then Illinois.
Oof. Yeah.
So tickets are going to suck. Like,
your
that's a lot of big basketball fan bases.
And your hotel room, you better book that now.
Yeah, get that.
In fact, they're actually, I looked like 20 minutes ago. They're drying up real fast. Hotels.
Well, it's a lot of huge basketball
It's a lot of
fan
huge
bases.
schools within driving distance. Absolutely.
Do you remember the last time that Iowa State played a Chris Beard coach team in the NCAA tournament?
I do.
Yes, Brent, calling on you.
Denver 2016.
Steve Prohm coached in circles around that
He
guy.
actually did. That's right. That's right. Then he took the UNLV job for like a week and then ended up at Texas Tech after that.
Did he really take UNLV?
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
He did. For like a week.
Wow.
Yep.
Right before some other guy.
There was an interim. It was before TJ. It was the guy.
Yeah, I know.
there was
Before TJ was the some other guy.
No, TJ got there 2 years later.
Yeah, I know, but he got there before that other guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Iowa State has played Chris Beard in an NCAA tournament before.
Yeah, and again, their profile is one that can make a run. Mississippi's, because they don't turn it over. They got a bunch of guys that can score. But in my opinion, give me a team that doesn't shoot the 3-ball great, and you make it difficult, and you hope they turn it over. And what Iowa State does not want to see is a team like, again, an Auburn and Alabama, a BYU, a Tech, who just shoots it great. Iowa State has proven against teams like Arizona and Kansas and some of those teams that don't shoot it great. Like, you make them uncomfortable, make them earn it, and Iowa State's usually okay. 18 threes is not going to do it. That's not.
What do we think about losing my mind? Oh, what do we think about the SEC getting 14 teams?
I feel bad for West Virginia. They got completely hosed.
I don't even know how good West Virginia is, but I don't think that this was necessarily fair how this played out either.
I understand the SEC had one, but like we talked about a month ago on this podcast, they got in this cycle where no loss is a bad loss.
And we've been there.
Absolutely. Iowa State took advantage of that the same scenario, honestly, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, and they got in. But I don't see a world where 14 SEC teams get in and not West Virginia after what West Virginia did in the non-conference. And interestingly, this has a direct impact, as you know, on the job in Iowa City right now, because that just made everybody's job a lot easier to get him now, potentially.
That was the first thing I thought of. That could be done tomorrow.
Would not shock me. If it's not done in the next 2 days, then I would be nervous if I'm an Iowa fan.
Yeah. No, I mean it's certainly. If I had to put the line on the the next Iowa head coach, I would say minus 400.
DeVries.
Yeah.
There you go.
On Friday of last week, I said it was minus 200. So,
read into that as you wish.
Well, I mean, just in today's news is why I was selfishly hoping that West Virginia would win like 3 games in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, and that's something to keep an eye on, and that's unfortunate for West Virginia. It really is, because that decision may cost them DeVries too.
I absolutely think it could, because if they go off and win a couple games in the tournament, it's a lot harder for him to leave. Completely agree with you there. Whiffle's Hybrids Big 12 segment. Let's look at this Big 12 teams in the draw. Now, I would make the argument, and I think I was going to pick Houston to win the national championship blindly before this last weekend. Watch them in person again a couple of times. I'm just so impressed with Sampson's team about how, they still have all the same characteristics that they've always had, but now they can shoot and they have all this skill. He's clearly one of the best coaches in the country. I'll pull up the Final Four odds here real quick, or the national championship odds. To make the Final Four, Houston's at plus 127. To win the national championship, Houston is currently at plus 600. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, I think the concern for them, honestly, is Roberts didn't play, and they say he's going to be fine for the NCAA tournament. They are not deep, though. That's similar to Iowa State. You can get by with 7 guys. Like, you absolutely can. It's been done before. But if you have an injury in the tournament like they'd had last year with Shed, it's really hard then.
I think they would have won last year.
Sharp's playing great. Wilson's playing really well. Uzan was awesome yesterday. I like Houston a lot. Aiden, can you pull up their bracket? I mean, I think they can kind of just find their way to the Sweet 16 for sure, and then we'll see who they have.
They get Gonzaga, Georgia in the second game. They should be able to bully Gonzaga.
They should.
It would be Clemson, Purdue in the Sweet 16. Their 2 seed is Tennessee. That'd be a war.
Yeah, Tennessee, when it's healthy and making shots, is really good.
I'm not really that impressed by their 3 seed in Kentucky. Are you?
No.
Kentucky doesn't blow me away.
They're fine. Honestly, the team that I think is playing the best right now, and this is not a hot take, is Florida. I mean, they got 7 guys that are all really good. I'm high on the Gators right now.
They're playing better than anyone.
I think they are. Now, that doesn't always mean everything, but they
How is Duke still the consensus favorite? I wouldn't put them as that. I would put Florida over Duke, wouldn't you?
I would.
Because Duke, the consensus plus 375, and then you have Florida at 380.
And then Auburn's done it against everybody, too. I mean, they're
412, though. That's a pretty good drop.
Yeah. No,
Is Houston 200 points worse than the third best team?
I think they're concerned about the depth there with them. Yeah, I mean,
depth schmep.
I know. I'm saying they only have 7 guys. They only play 7. I mean, I trust Houston more than Duke, though.
Real talk. What are the chances? I'll make a prediction right now. Tony Padilla will officiate Iowa State's round of 32 game.
There's no chance. He'll be out west, thankfully.
You already know that? How do you know that?
Because he lives in California.
Oh, okay.
They usually
if we would have gone to Seattle, he would have been there?
Oh, yeah. He'll be in Seattle. Yeah, he'll be. Or Denver. He'll definitely be in Seattle or
Give
Denver.
me a prediction. Who's going to ref Iowa State's
We'll have Big
games?
10 guys. We'll have Big 10 guys. So we should have probably like a DJ Carstensen, may have Jeff Anderson there, honestly.
Jeff Anderson?
High knees. The high knees guy.
Bert
will probably go in the southeast. Bert's possible. Not Bert. Brett. Wait, Bert.
Brett?
Was it Bert
I
Smith
thought it
and
was
Brett
Bert.
Smith?
I thought it was Bert Smith.
Bert.
Yeah.
It might be
He's
Bert.
the high knees guy, right?
No, that's Jeff Anderson.
Oh.
Jeff Anderson. Roger Ayers is a possibility up there. Yeah, it should be a good crew. Should be a good famous last words. The good thing here, C-Dub, honestly, it's interesting. Lipscomb is not really going to drive it a whole lot. So foul difficulty shouldn't be an issue. However, I say that because they play more of a, think Belmont, think ball movement, pace and space, so they don't play real fast. Any contact could be called then. Like you got to be really, you got to play it out to see how the game is being called. If Iowa State goes in with that MMA mindset where they're crashing into everything, and you get everybody in foul trouble in the first half, that may not be good. So, I think the styles again.
No,
will be
I disagree.
interesting.
You dictate. Damn it.
Well, I think early, but if they start calling everything on the perimeter, then
Usually the tournament they don't.
yeah, just they'll call it tighter than the Big 12 game is called.
Yeah, well, that's always my fear.
Which is a
current
good,
Big
but
12.
also Iowa State has done well in those settings. Like
Good free throw shooting team this year.
Yeah, it is
For the most part.
I think,
Knock on wood.
Again, when you get to this stage, there's a lot of good teams. Draw wise, this has been as comfortable as I've been with Iowa State's draw that I can
Yeah, but
remember.
it's the intangibles that just we have no idea.
But you have no idea.
I think anybody who's being realistic would go into Milwaukee and they wouldn't be surprised if they would lose to a 14 seed, and they also would not be surprised if they went to the Sweet 16.
Hey, you guys, it's Iowa State. We're Iowa State fans. Like, we've seen it all.
Correct. I don't think anybody would be surprised with any outcome this year. Based on everything that's happened, this team's profile, all the injuries, I think anything is on the table.
I'll say this. It would have to take, honestly, C-Dub, Oklahoma State type of performance for Iowa State to lose to Lipscomb. Now,
God damn it. Why did you just say that?
Now,
What's your problem?
did Iowa State lose to Oklahoma State?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's possible. But I just, again, just my 2 cents. My 2 cents of how I see that matchup going. If Lipscomb makes 14 threes and you lose, then that's a possibility. But I like Iowa State's mindset going in here. I think ripping the Band-Aid off with the whole injury
Chris
situation.
Beard's on my TV right now.
Well,
I'm literally staring into his soul.
he's
and
had
it's
an
a dark
interesting
place.
he's had an interesting journey over the last 10 years, Mr. Beard.
Everybody's bringing up the UAB game, early tip. Now, very different vibes, though. I think that's a hard comp to make.
I
You
agree.
remember
Yeah.
UAB did not play like a sexy style. They were gross. And that was a bad matchup only in the sense because Iowa State they didn't defend. Now you could watch Iowa State on against BYU and say that too. Shout out to our guy Brant. I know he's thinking it. But like
The other thing.
I worry less about shocking upsets because of Iowa State's defense now compared to those games. But again, it's just like I don't know.
Yeah.
If you get a game and Taman's roughed up and Milan's 1 of 7 from 3 and the presidents don't show up, like you could lose to anybody.
Hey man, like the difference here is that was Thursday morning. This will be Friday, so you'll have a whole day of upset
Absolutely.
stuff to figure out. But yeah, I mean, let's not be naive. Like 14s beat 3s occasionally. It's probably 3% of the time, but they do. So, and we've been one of them. UAB beat Iowa State as a 14 versus a 3. Like, I am not naive to any of this, but there's a reason why that Iowa State still has really good players, and I like Iowa State's mental spot here of because what's going to happen now. Iowa State will not be picked by a soul. Iowa State will be dismissed entirely by the national media.
And the coach will use that.
And some of the local media, honestly, too. I've already seen some of it, which is fine. Like, I get it. Like, Iowa State, the headline is Iowa State loses second leading scorer before the tournament. Oh, they're done. What people don't want to look into is he hasn't been the same for 2.5 months. Iowa State's offense has actually been better when he hasn't been on the floor. And now you're able to get some understanding of whose role is what for the first time, really, C-Dub, since Milan got hurt against Kansas. It's been up in the air since then. It really has. So, at least you have some certainty of who's going to do what. And, yeah, basketball's a weird sport. Weird things can happen. And I'm ready to see it.
Do you and last thing, and we realize we're jumping way ahead here. Do you have an opinion on Michigan State as far as that goes?
Yeah, I mean,
should that be a matchup?
The interesting part for me is both Michigan State and North Carolina were in Maui with Iowa State.
Oh, yeah.
And both lost early. I mean, it was pretty clear from my novice eyes that Iowa State and Auburn were the two best teams there. Michigan State has gotten a lot better. The Jace Richardson kid's been really good. Jason's son. They got some decent bigs. Yeah, absolutely. If Iowa State plays Michigan State tomorrow, C-Dub, Michigan State's a 4-point favorite. Maybe three to 3. So, yeah, they'll be favored. But they're not one of those teams that can just, flat out athlete Iowa State up and down the floor with a bunch of NBA players. They've got some, but from what I saw in Maui of them, Iowa State personnel-wise will be able to match up with them. But then you talk about fouls and pressure and turnovers and all those things. This is the same Michigan State team that was trailing Iowa by 15 2 weeks ago. And they came back and won the game. But they're not. This is not Morris Peterson and Mateen Cleaves Michigan State. They've been better this year, but I would rather play Michigan State than a Tennessee or a Florida. I'll just put it that way.
I'm going to give you some odds here real quick, too, because DraftKings has these odds to make the Sweet 16.
Yeah.
I want to give you – so Iowa State was – wow. Okay, so that is evened out. Like, it's now even money.
Okay.
That is completely shifted because it was plus 160 earlier. Now it's minus 115 on each side.
Wow. So it's going in Iowa State's favor then.
Yes. Absolutely, it is. I just wanted to see what they have Ole Miss at. So they clearly think Iowa State will. Ole Miss is plus 220 to make the Sweet 16.
The Williams and Blue podcast huge in the Vegas circles.
Sharp. What do you think North Carolina to make the Sweet 16 is?
5-1.
Close. 425.
Oh.
Let's do San Diego State.
8.
8-1.
Am I right?
So, I just saw a guy in our chat go, where do you guys think that Iowa State will go? The odds say Iowa State is the favorite in this pod to get to the Sweet 16. And that is with the Keshon Gilbert news.
For those who are new to it, basically the odds are saying flip a coin if Iowa State makes the Sweet 16. Literally.
Yes.
50-50.
So 50%.
I think the more Iowa State plays with this current configuration, the better Iowa State's going to get. I would love to see Michigan State in the Sweet 16. I would.
Could we slay some demons?
There's demons to be slayed.
If that happens, we're getting Larry Stacey on the podcast.
You and me are going to watch.
The problem is Boise made the tournament, didn't they?
Oh, I doubt it. Did they?
I swear I saw. No, Boise is listed somewhere on my game lines. Is that an NIT game already? They're still playing. I know that because I saw them.
Knowing Larry would.
They're not in the NCAA tournament. They're in a tournament. I know this.
Okay.
Whatever.
Larry would leave them to slay the demons with Michigan State.
I agree. He's one of the all-time great Cyclones.
Think about it, y'all. 25 years. We celebrated that team in Hilton this year. We all know what happened. The cards are lining up to beat Michigan State and make it to an Elite Eight for the first time since that game.
Hey, Aiden, put the music back on. We're going to do guess the point spreads here on notable NCAA tournament games.
I haven't seen a dang thing.
All right, well, this makes it even more fun. Creighton, Louisville.
Creighton minus 1.5.
Creighton is a 2.5-point underdog.
Oh. I disagree with that. They're going to have a problem with Kalkbrenner.
Just for, comps.
Yeah.
Wisconsin, Montana, another 3-14 game. Because all the Wisconsin fans think they got a raw deal. Maybe they did.
Well, Iowa State got to.
Iowa State, this is the best draw Iowa State's ever been given in an NCAA tournament.
the fact
that's the Iowa State got a sweetheart deal.
Iowa State got Wisconsin to go to Denver instead of them when they're right there in Madison. Awesome. Take that, Badgers. What's the game, Montana?
Yeah, just doing another
13.
16 and a half. My Cougars from BYU against BCU.
I'm nervous for them. That's a terrible matchup for BYU.
Long
Horrible.
BCU athletic team.
Horrible.
I'm with you.
Horrible. BYU's a 4-point favorite.
2.5.
Yeah, that's a horrible matchup for BYU.
Rock Chalk Jayhawk, Kansas, Arkansas. John Calipari, Bill Self.
Actually,
what a matchup that is.
Good for Kansas here because Arkansas can't shoot.
They suck.
6.
4.5.
I'm not buying Kansas 1 iota. Who does Texas Tech play?
We'll get to it. Just calm down.
All right.
Texas Tech, UNC Wilmington.
Yes. 21.
16 and a half.
Oh. They must play a slow pace.
Baylor, Mississippi State.
Oof. These teams are like identical.
They are.
I don't know.
Pick
them.
Quite literally.
Pick them.
One. They are identical.
They're like the same team.
Baylor's a minus 1 at plus 100, so
Yeah,
no
they're-
juice on
they're
Baylor.
literally the
They
same
are as
team.
close to identical as you can get. Iowa State is still 14 and a half at this. What about our guy Tyrese Hunter?
Yeah.
What a weird game this is. So this is stunning. Memphis, Colorado State. Nico Medved, former
Oof.
Drake coach. This is a 5-12 game.
Colorado State's really good. 4.
Who's favored?
Memphis.
Craziest shit you'll ever see. Colorado State, the 12 seed's a 2.5-point favorite over the 5. Isn't that insane?
So he's going to be the next Minnesota coach. Did you know
And
that?
that just means you guys just blindly bet Colorado State right now. Right?
I don't.
And the juice is in their favor. Everybody's
I
hammering
just-
them.
I like Colorado State a lot, but okay. I mean, yeah, you're right. I just
Because all the rubes are just going to take the 5 seed.
they will. I think Colorado State's really good. I just think Memphis has some guys that'll give them trouble. And then Nico's going to be the next Minnesota head coach.
So he's already working ahead, you think?
Yeah, I 100%. Do you know who the next head coach of Colorado State is going to be?
J.R. Blount?
No. Close, but no. Ali Farouk Manesh. Remember him?
Yeah. That makes sense for them to keep him, but they should give JR an interview. Does JR get an interview if McCollum takes Indiana?
Should.
I think so too.
They would be
Maybe our
wise
guy
to do
Hendo
that.
get an interview?
Another good one. Yes. Yep.
I'd
That
be
would
happy
be my
with
first.
either of those guys.
Honestly, if I'm Drake's idea, I look at those two first and foremost.
I would too. I'd be very happy. You'd see
Unless
me
they have
wearing a lot
somebody-
of I would wear royal blue if either one of those guys got
I think
that job.
I think Hendo. I think the world of both of those guys.
They're really good coaches. Schedule Marquette, New Mexico.
Marquette has just been baffling since they came to Ames. They're probably favored by 5, but I don't trust them.
3.5.
Don't trust them.
Arizona, Akron. The Zips.
They almost lost yesterday. It was a weird game. 6.
14.5.
Whoa! No respect for the Zips.
Man, you were way off.
Way off Samsonite. Do you know what the Zip is? How they got the name the Zips?
Isn't it? Don't they have like a zipper factory or
Close.
something like that? And
You're close. So
Okay.
Akron is in the middle of the Rust Belt, the auto industry, right?
yeah.
So they made tire zippers. Zippers for tires, and it got shortened to the Zips.
Okay.
Yeah. I learned that when Iowa State played there once.
Yeah, I think we may have covered that on the program.
Yeah. Tire zippers.
I feel like because that was ringing a bell for me.
Yeah. It's I think the Firestone factory used to be there.
I think that's all I've got for you. for these. Drake, Missouri, Caleb Grill versus the Dogs.
Oh. Drake's going to try and slow this thing that way. What a fascinating game. 4.
6.5.
That is right on the
bet on
edge.
Drake.
I don't think so. I wouldn't. I would not do that. Because what the job McCollum has done with that roster is amazing.
Yeah, it's one of the great coaching jobs that I can ever remember.
It's okay.
It's Otzelberger first year type, like just for comp.
It's like R.I.P. Gene Hackman. It's like Hoosiers. Sturts is Jimmy Chitwood, and they just got a bunch of guys. It's incredible what they do with that guy.
Basketball coaching job you've ever seen at Iowa State? It's got to be that first Otzelberger team going to a Sweet 16.
Was crazy.
They were terrible.
I will also throw in Tim Floyd's second year when he brought in all the JUCOs like Willoughby, Cato, Bankhead. J.C. Holloway, who couldn't shoot, was the point guard. Kenny Pratt was 6'2" as a power forward. That was pretty good, too. That team won the Big 8. I might put that one ahead, but it's close.
Okay. Well, that's before my time, but
yeah.
I'll take your
word
for it.
I'm going to put that one in there, too.
Nothing Eustace ever did?
No, I mean, the 2 years were the best ever. And I think that conversation...
Yeah, but that's a different conversation. We're saying, like, to get the most out of less.
Well, the 2000 team still got more out of more. That's a thing, you know. Those guys didn't bat an eye to anybody. And we had a good conversation about this, but because of injuries and, you know, some circumstances, this team is going to have to do a lot in the tournament to even be close to that team now. I mean, not that that's the only what we're worried about, but that's why I want to slay the demon. Let's play Michigan State. Run it back.
What we need to do is get all the guys to Game Day Men's Health, get them some extra testosterone.
How does that work with how does that work with groins? I mean, different kind.
Right into the groin.
Different kind of groin.
All right, so the Iowa State women are in the first 4. That was happening right when we went on the air. Connor Ferguson and Rob Gray are in Ames. They were with the team, and we have a little clip here from Bill Finley. Let's get some reaction from head coach Bill Finley.
Bill, what are your thoughts? What do you think of kind of the seeding and all that, where you guys are?
The seeding has nothing to do with anything with me. To be a part of the NCAA tournament is the best thing ever. So proud of our team. To hear your name called says a lot about them, says a lot about our school. When you look at how hard this is, I think there's 15 teams that have made it 6 years in a row, and we're one of them. So the ironic part about it is I get to go to South Bend where Stephen was born. So haven't been back there in a while, but time to go to work, and it's going to be quick, but it's fun.
What do you think of the overall draw that you got when you look at the matchups that are kind of in play?
You know, to be honest with you, I know we're going to South Bend. I don't know any of it. And you know, we'll go to work tonight. We've been working on a lot of teams leading up to this in anticipation. So obviously, you know, Princeton's in the tournament because they're a really good team. They've had a great year. The one thing I do remember, scouting Utah back a long time ago, they gave Utah a great game at Utah. So, you know, we'll see. I don't know a whole lot about them. We're going to try and find out here in the next hour.
Are you excited to go back to South Bend? That seems like a place that has special meaning to you.
Yeah, I mean, South Bend has a lot of meaning to our family, but I'm just excited to go to work tonight and go to practice tomorrow. And I'm excited that Emily Ryan can say that she played in 5 NCAA tournaments. It's hard to beat that. I'm excited for Iowa State fans, and I also I want to really congratulate TJ. Amazing accomplishment for them, and looking forward to them going to Milwaukee. But you know, this is the best time. If you're not, for me, besides Christmas, tomorrow's St. Patrick's Day, so it's close. Is the best time of the year for me, and like I said, to be a part of this is why we go to work every day, and that's why Selection Sunday is on the bottom of our practice card, and we're blessed to be a part of it, represent our school, represent the Big 12, and we'll go to work.
So was Princeton not one of the handful of teams you had anticipated or, tried to predict?
They were one that we've scouted. There's about 5 teams that I assigned my staff to look at. I kind of thought we'd be in this situation. So we'll have some information on them, obviously not a lot, but we'll be probably a little ahead of the curve. Like I said, I gave them 5 teams, and they were one of the 5.
What's been your...
All right, there you go. Some comments from Bill Fennelly.
Didn't get brought up there, but it's not Notre Dame right away if Iowa State wins, by the way. That 6th seed over there is Michigan. It's Michigan, who, quite candidly, have seen Michigan a handful of times.
I think they got a good draw.
That's pretty good.
I mean, other than having to play an extra game.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then Notre Dame's good. Notre Dame's mad. Notre Dame wanted a 2. Didn't get it. They obviously have Hidalgo, who's a dynamite player. But give me a couple games. I think Iowa State, with its size, if Brown and Crooks are as good as they are, Princeton's going to have a rough time with that. But again, balls go in, and you got to stop the ball too. So I'm excited for them. It doesn't get talked about enough what Bill Fennelly has done with that program. I believe that's, look at the exact number, 22 NCAA appearances in 28 years. Like, it's obnoxious.
I know we're beyond 20.
It's beyond 20 now, and that doesn't even count the COVID year where they would have got in, but then it didn't happen. I think we kind of get spoiled just on all levels of it's hard. It can be hard to make the NCAA tournament. Here we go. Okay. Who can count the fastest? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 23. I was right. Trust yourself. It's hard. It's hard to make the NCAA tournament. I mean, like he said, there's 15 teams in women's college basketball that made 6 in a row, and Iowa State's one of those. So I'm proud of them, happy for them, and I think they can give anybody a game. We've seen it. When Iowa State's at its best on the women's side, unless they're playing a South Carolina that's just 3 times more athletic, it's going to be a rough go. But give them a chance, and I'm happy for them. Proud of them, too.
Well, I'm happy and proud of you, Brent.
Thank you. While we're on the numbers tonight, the amount of programs that got both of their men's and women's team in the tournament, I bet it's less than 20, but I don't know that for sure.
Well, and it's consistently being done here, which is cool.
Here's a stat for you that we can end this on, because Bill's made it 6 years in a row now, which is awesome. Iowa State. Look at that. Hayden is just, so it's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, there's about 30 teams. 30 teams made both. That's crazy. Good for them. TJ Otzelberger, 4 NCAA tournaments in 4 years. He now only trails Johnny Orr on the all-time NCAA tournament appearance list. He's now tied with Fred Hoiberg. So it still feels like we're early in the TJ era, but it's worth at least noting that, he's now done. He's gone 11 seed, 6 seed, 2 seed, 3 seed. So, I mean, I know this season didn't go as we all wanted it to. I understand that. I'm with you, but still in a good position. And Chris, once you make it here, then you're on a game-by-game basis, right? Like, your seed's done. Your stuff that happened in February is done.
Well, I remember that the last time we were in Milwaukee, we thought there was no chance they could get to the second weekend.
Correct.
And they did. So. And
they did. I mean, the tournament's wild. It's unfortunate to some extent that your season is defined by how one of those games can go, and if you shoot it poorly, you turn it over a bunch, and all the above. But also, I'm glad for this team, because this team can kind of fix it now, right? Like, they can turn it on and let us forget about all of the stuff that's happened over the last 6 weeks and just get to playing basketball. And that's where, C-Dub, I keep coming back with the Gilbert thing. Yes, he's injured. But more than anything, how do you get it back to what's the most important thing is those guys who can play on the floor. And I think this team's ready to turn a corner, play with what they got, and let's see what happens for the Cyclones.
Go out and load up on your Ames lager. Go out and buy yourself a bottle of Cody Road. Enjoy the games. Take your Friday off. Don't need to be working this Friday. Clones are tipping at 12:30. Don't have the women's tip time yet. That should be out.
Wednesday. It's Wednesday, but I don't know the time yet. It'll be Wednesday evening.
Good.
Wednesday
I can watch it in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, Brent, love you, man.
Love
Appreciate
you guys.
you doing
Appreciate
this.
you. Yeah.
Aiden producing. We don't go live very often on Sundays, but we thought it was a natural one to go with. Appreciate all of you guys hanging out with us. Almost 10,000 people hanging out with us here on a Sunday night. For Brent Blum, for Aiden Wyatt, my name is Chris Williams, signing off. Courtesy of our friends at Mechdyne. We'll have Let 'em Cook on Monday. NCAA Tournament preview for the men. NCAA Tournament for the preview for the women with Rob Gray and Connor Ferguson will be up as well. Later, guys. Have a good night.